Well, thank you very much, Winfrey, for that story. Now, we're talking about devolution and the state of devolution. We've been having conversations on the new KTN Newsline with governors, with the county executive committee members. Like last week, we talked about Nairobi County. Today, we talk about Murang'a County. Now, Dr. Irung'u Kangata is somebody who has risen from the level of member of county assembly, well, then councillor, to member of parliament, to senator, and he's now the second governor of Murang'a County. He joins me today to talk about what he's been doing in the last 8 months in office and what he plans to do for the next 5 years. Governor, karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Latif.
Asante for joining us. It's been a journey for you. I mean, getting to the level of governor has been, one steady rise from one level to the other. Was this part of a plan? When you first, well, let's not talk about your student leadership days. When you first went into elective politics and went to become a civic leader, were you eyeing a step after every election?
Thank you so much for that very good question, Bwana Eric. Not really. The reason being, I decided to vie as a councillor out of bad situation, or rather low, when my life was quite low. Reason being, I was under suspension from University of Nairobi. So when I decided to vie, as at that time, that is the year 2002, there was no plan of upward mobility. In fact, I would say I vied out of really lacking something else to do. Yes.
This was just it. This was, what else am I going to do? So let me try this one out.
Yes, indeed.
And the people gave you that opportunity to serve them.
Yes, indeed.
So why then MP?
MP, again, something happened after I served as a councillor between 2002 and 2007. In 2003, we were readmitted back to the University of Nairobi by the new administration of Mwai Kibaki. Then immediately after I finished college, university, I got admitted to the bar in the year 2007. I decided to go into practice instead of going back to politics, and also to establish a family. So therefore, between 2007 and 2012, I was a practicing lawyer. Then something happened which took me back to politics. I got the humble opportunity to represent the poor lady called Kerubo, who had been pinched by the Deputy Chief Justice then, Nancy Baraza. And then we succeeded, and then when I went home, there was a little bit of push by Wananchi that I represent them in Parliament.
And here you are, now you're governor of Murang'a. The last 8 months, we've seen you in the news doing a number of things. For example, launching a healthcare program that you had on whose platform you had campaigned and said you were going to do something. You called it Kanata Care. We saw you enrolling people into NHIF. We have seen you launching a minimum guaranteed minimum returns program for farmers. You'll tell us about that, and various other things. However, one of the notable things that I saw is you went to the county assembly and sought a supplementary budget to, for example, just shift the way you're going to spend money in your county, and a supplementary budget of 7 billion shillings. What did you want to do with that 7 billion shillings at that initial stage? And then we'll come to this financial year.
I remember I came into power at about September 2022. As at that time, there was a budget that had already been passed in June 2022 by the previous departing government. So it meant I had to do a supplementary budget to reorient that budget to our flagship programs. And basically, we had promised the people 4 issues. So therefore, that supplementary budget was intended to anchor the 4 areas so that we commence them. And then from there now, we build on those 4 issues.
What are the 4 issues?
One was healthcare. We had promised that we shall give out certain cards, NHIF cards, to the people. So we entered into an agreement with the NHIF to establish Kanata Care, which is a unique scheme which has benefits that mirror NHIF, but there are some unique and additional benefits for the people under that scheme. Number one, we have outpatient, inpatient care, which mirrors that of NHIF. However, on and above that, it has an optical and dental cover, a unique advantage. It has what we call last expense. That is, whenever a person passes on, or let's say you're a principal member and your parent passes on, you are entitled to 50,000 Kenya shilling. If it's a spouse or a dependent, a minor, you get 100,000. The idea is to support orphans, to support widows and widowers whenever there is such kind of an issue. Then we give out 20,000 households. And this year, God willing, we want to give out to 30,000 households. In healthcare also, we are doing automation, and also in healthcare, we are also building new hospitals so that we increase the number of public hospitals in Murang'a. The second promise was on minimum guaranteed return. Murang'a is divided into two ecological zones, basically, or rather three. We have the upper part, the T zone, the middle belt, that is the coffee zone, and the lower belt, that is the dry area. So the middle and the upper part, what they share mainly is milk. So we give a minimum guarantee return of every kilogram of milk produced per month. We give 3.5 Kenya shilling on and above the purchase price. That is, let's say you sell at 45 shilling, we will add you 3.5 shilling to offset some of your inputs. For the mango, again, we entered into an agreement with the two private institutions to process our mangoes. We aggregated farmers into a cooperative called Lower Murang'a Mangoes Union. And then we negotiated 16 shillings per kg of mangoes delivered to those two private companies. Then on and above that, we add 7 shilling. So we moved what farmers get per kilogram from 2 shilling, 3 shillings per kg to 23 shillings per kg.
So an extra 7 bob per
kg.
Per kg of mangoes.
Plus now the 16 that we have negotiated the two companies. So that's 23. Originally, they used to sell at about 2-3 shillings per kg. The third area was in what we call education. We are now giving free porridge every day to 42,000 ECD pupils spread across 700 ECDs in the entire county. And also, we increased the number of pupils benefiting from the county-funded bursary scheme from 800 to 21,000. The fourth pillar was in what we call community projects. It's the idea that Murang'a needs to develop as one equitably. The entire 35 wards, you come up with a program where the local residents, in consultation with the members of the county assembly, can propose projects per each ward. That's why we are using that fund now to drill boreholes, to do maraming of roads, and also, quite importantly, to renovate our ECDs.
I want to come into each one of them. Kanata Care is quite interesting because you're talking about having an enhanced cover with NHIF. So you get the basic in outpatient, but then you also add the optical, the dental, what's the last one?
Last expense.
The last expense. Is the county government paying for the extra?
Yes.
Why?
Because we think
And how much?
Well, the entire scheme covering 20,000 households, we are being charged 163 million Kenya shillings per annum. And that is an average of about 8,000 per annum per family. That's a little bit more than what NHIF charges per family because it charges 6,000 per annum. So ours is about 8,100. Why? Two reasons. Number one, we think Murang'a people deserve to get free optical and dental services and also last expense.
So are they paying the 6,000 and then the government topping up the 2,000?
No, it's free.
So everything
Everything
the
is
entire 8,000 for
Is
these
the county.
20,000 households.
It's free. Of course, somebody is free completely. You give you the card, you enjoy the services for free.
Who are the 20,000 households?
We have targeted the poor families, the elderly, a person living with disabilities, the orphans. Yes, those are our key cohorts.
Okay.
But it's a very sustainable scheme. Why? Two reasons. Number one, NHIF pays hospitals for outpatients through a scheme they call capitation. So the number of patients who are registered in your facilities for outpatient, they reimburse you a certain amount. I think it's about 1,000. I think, is it per annum? So all those people, we auto-registered them into our public hospitals, except those who opted out. So we get that money back to us for outpatients. Secondly, when they come for inpatient in our public facilities, we still claim back that money. So it is something very sustainable.
So what you're saying is that this money is basically circulating
yes,
within the county.
Yes. Of course, there was that option where we could ring fence the entire amount into public facilities. That is, we compel everyone to come to public facilities.
Yeah.
We didn't go that route because we believe in the choice and the autonomy of a patient. And again, NHIF was not offering us a rebate for that, because actually it would have been a benefit to NHIF. Be that as it may, when you auto-register the people into public facilities for outpatient, that money comes back to you. And also, if more people come to you seeking inpatient services, that money is refunded back to you.
Governor, how many households do you have in Murang'a in total?
About 300,000 as per 2019 census.
So about 300,000 households.
Yes.
How many of them are registered with NHIF?
About 100,000.
And out of these 100,000, you are paying for 20,000.
Yes. No, it's 100,000. Those who, through other means, they have the card.
Okay.
Plus now the 20,000.
Plus the 20.
Yes.
So are the 100,000 active contributors to NHIF?
No. The 100,000, yes, they are.
So they are active. That means that they are regular, contributing 500 bob every month through employment and such.
Yes.
So they are active contributors to NHIF.
Yes.
That means that the entire 120 then are actually active contributors to NHIF.
Yes.
What's a plan to cover the others? Because I would assume that Kanata Care, if you're looking at healthcare, you want every household to have access to affordable healthcare.
Our plan is to scale up our numbers progressively and also to improve our services so that more people with the cards can come to public facilities in Murang'a.
There's a social services program by the national government that ought to have kicked on. I mean, you've been a legislator, so you know this, that ought to have ensured that the vulnerable, the elderly get access to NHIF services. Right? That's the severely disabled and persons above 70. In that entire social support program, it should have had an element for healthcare. Why didn't you push for that? Instead of coming to tell the people of Murang'a that part of your budget is going to do what the national government ought to have been doing?
Well, I may not speak on behalf of the national government, but I also am aware of that scheme. In Murang'a, it has about 15,000 members, but I noticed it has a lot of defects. Number one, low awareness. I think a list was generated, and then it was given to NHIF, then they were paid. People don't even know they have been covered. We have experienced so many people under that scheme who do not know actually they have been covered. And from where I sit, I think NHIF took advantage of that. Number one, they say they won't give anyone a card. So you'll be going to the hospitals, then they check against your list, then they treat you. But for me, that then makes NHIF to get a lot of savings out of that scheme. For us to boost what we call the rate of activation, we give out physical card. That then somehow makes our scheme more active in comparison to the universal scheme that is being paid for by the national government. As to whether they need to scale up, that's a policy issue best left to the national government to decide, and we shall support it.
At the county level, looking at all the health facilities that you have, from basic dispensary health center to the county referral hospitals, how much are people spending on health per month, per year?
Well, we have just closed the last financial year, 2022-2023, and we were paid 120 million Kenya shillings by the people of Murang'a, which is an increment from about 90 million.
So people going to health facilities and paying for the services?
Yeah, in total they paid 130 million Kenya shilling. Yes.
Is that high? Is that low?
Yeah, quite high. What we call out-of-pocket expenditure is quite high. And from where we see it, we would want it to... Of course, on one hand, it's positive because it means we were able to seal loopholes where our money was getting lost. But on the other hand, it's negative because we would want people to spend less from the pocket. We would want that money to be coming mainly from NHIF.
Are you ring-fencing that 130 million to be plowed back into improving facilities and services?
A very contentious issues from a public finance point of view, reason being under the Constitution. There's a clause there that says all money collected from the counties should be swept to what we call the county revenue fund. And then you requisition it through the control budget. If you attempt to spend at that level, you'll be accused of spending at source. Be that as it may, there is a small exception to that. They say unless you establish a law. So pursuant to that, the previous government had provided a clause in one of the laws that underpin Murang'a Health. But we have been advised further that we need a standalone law, which currently is being processed to ensure we achieve what we are proposing, to ring fence all that money to be spent in healthcare.
To come back into it. Moving into agriculture, and you've talked about the guaranteed minimum returns. Again, so every dairy farmer who is selling milk, you're guaranteeing them some 3 shillings and 50 cents per kilogram of milk, right?
Yes.
Why is the county giving that extra money? Because this is what, subsidizing at what level? At market level?
No, we do not interfere with market forces. We allow market forces to pan out. The idea is very simple. Number one, what intervention did county have in agriculture? Previously, what the government used to do, even currently what the national government is doing, is you buy inputs and give out to farmers. Let's say fertilizer, and you give out to farmers. But let me attempt to illustrate to you the illogical point of that approach. Assume you go and buy 100 million worth of fertilizer using county funds. You pick them from Sagana, which is where there's a main warehouse of government. You start distributing. 30% of that value will go to the profit, to the profit of the seller, right? So you're left with 70 million. Then 70 million, you do transportation. About 30 million will be spent in transportation. Distributing it to the farm level. To the farmers. Imagine from Sagana, you take it to Gatanga near the forest, or to Kireini near Abadeas, or to Ivanga, a whole another 40. So that is 30 profit, 40 transportation. You are left with what value? Let's say you've taken 70 out of the 100. So you have about 30. Then people steal. Of course, you know, some people, the driver of the lorry will steal most likely. So you are left with about 20 million. That's the value you will give out to the farmer. And again, most likely you are going to give out on one farmer, one bag basis, equality. Which for me, that does not really reflect the productivity level of each farmer. So that's more into just giving on the basis of equality rather productivity. So we decided to flip that argument and come up with a scheme that is sending money directly to the farmers. In any event, it's the farmer who knows what type of salt suits his breed of cattle, not me. Not me as a governor sitting in Murang'a. Secondly, it is auditable. Distribution of things in bulk is very hard to audit, but mine is very simple because we are using data provided by the cooperatives. Then you triangulate it with the bank, because you ask for several documents. How many months you have delivered, show us the bank account, show us evidence that you have been paid for the last several months. So that data is objective, and therefore you support based on productivity in a manner that is very auditable. And then, and I can tell you what has been the effect. Two things has happened. Number one, we have boosted productivity. Currently, Murang'a is now one of the leading milk producers in the country. In fact, we are now getting the top and the best price in the entire republic. A place like Irung'u, one of the top producers, constituencies of milk, they are being paid about 44 shillings per kg. If you go to Mukurweini in Nyeri, they are also being paid about 43 per kg. Now Murang'a is about 45 plus now 3.5. That's about 49, 48, which is the best price for the
So a farmer in Murang'a is getting 48 shillings.
Yes, and also we are
Is it per litre, per kilo?
Per litre.
Per litre of milk.
But also we have input other conditionalities to improve cooperative governance. Like for instance, not all cooperatives benefit. You have to have, number one, all your farmers must have bank accounts because we want them to get loans thereafter, isn't it? And to make them bankable, to move them from the what we call an informal economy to the formal economy. Secondly, we want them to aggregate. So small cooperative didn't qualify unless they aggregate, because we believe in economies of scale.
And if you look at it, you've just said that you've noticed some improvement. Are you able to give us numbers?
Yes.
So
yes.
Let's say from September last year, this was the productivity in Murang'a, and as of June, these are the numbers.
Yes, we used to produce per day about 120,000 liters of milk. We are now almost to double that amount. When you look at all those cooperatives under us. We are also supporting value addition. Any milk processor who is in Murang'a doing good volumes is also being supported by the scheme, as long as farmers take milk to him, to his factory. We have two factories, one in Kandara, another one in Kangima called Aspedos. They are also benefiting. So we are also incentivizing value addition.
So about a doubling of the output of milk in just about 8 months' time? Surely this can't only be because you're giving a farmer a guaranteed 3 shillings and 50 cents for their milk.
Yes, you are right.
What else is it?
Of course, we had good rains. Let me also admit that.
Okay.
We had good rains.
Have you increased the number of the livestock in Murang'a? Do we know whether maybe we have new farmers who've entered the fray? Maybe they've added the number of cows that they have. Is there anything else that could be contributing to this?
New farmers, definitely. I think like about 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting with 5 major cooperatives in Murang'a, milk producing cooperatives. And one is called Kiarutara in Gatanga, Kigoro in Gatanga. We held another one called Kahuro in Kiharo, another one called Genda in Maragua, and Kangari. They were telling me on average each has added about 300 farmers, and each had about 1,000. Our largest cooperative union. It's called MCCU, which was started by the county government.
Yeah.
They give us 4,000 farmers. Currently, I was told they have an extra 2,000 farmers who have joined in. So more farmers have also joined it. But I also agree with you. For the last 2-3 months, we had good rains.
On the mango side, you said something that is actually even bigger. Previously, farmers were getting about 2 to 3 shillings per kilo of mango. Now you have secured the market for them with the private sector, which is guaranteeing them 16 shillings a kilo, plus then the guaranteed minimum return from the county of an extra 7 bob on top of it. Why 7?
For 2 reasons.
If I compare with the livestock and the dairy farmers who are only getting half of that.
A mango season is only 2-3 months. January, February, March. So in fact, we assume 2 months only. That is February and March. So each month, 3.5 shillings. Each month, 3.5 shillings. That's how we give 7 bob. Yes.
Okay. And the new market of 16 shillings per kilo, how sustainable is this?
Oh, good. We looked for the makers of major brands, which is based in Thika, a company called Kevian, owned by a former good friend of mine who was a politician called Kimani Rogendo.
A former friend?
Yeah, he's a friend. No, he's a friend. He's a current friend, but he's a former politician. Yeah. He was vying in Langata a long time ago. And so he has a very good factory based in Thika called Kevian Limited. We also have another company based in Murang'a, a place called Kambiti called Sanemango. So we entered into an agreement and signed an MOU where they agreed to uptake our mangoes. That to us is easier and more efficient than building a county-owned factory because we don't have to deploy huge resources, to do so, the initial capital. And secondly, those people have been in that market longer, so they know the market better than us. So on that basis, they gave us volumes, what they wanted. So it was simple. Our work was just to mobilize farmers. We take mangoes to them, then they pay us. We give that money to the farmer, then we guarantee them on and above that amount.
Now the national government is pursuing a value chain approach in development. And of course, the national government is working with the counties on the county aggregation industrial parks. What value chains are you identifying for Murang'a, and how are the CAIPs going to support this?
Of course, we'll definitely rank highly milk and also mango, but avocado is also a major crop in Murang'a. In fact, Murang'a is the leading producer of Hass avocado in the entire republic. We control about 50 to 60% of that market.
In the entire republic?
In the entire republic.
Which means also close to the entire Africa?
Yes, we are a top-notch producer of avocado. So definitely that will be an area we are interested in partnering with the national government.
They talk about theft of avocado and just managing the entire chain, ensuring quality for the export market. What is the county government of Murang'a doing to support the farmers for this? So number one, how to secure their crop. And number two, which is critical now for the market, how to make sure that you maintain quality and that there is also traceability to the farm.
There are about 2-3 constituencies which are top avocado producing constituencies in our county. That is Kandara and Gatanga and partly Kegumo. So we have built what we call avocado pack house at a place called Ngararia in Kandara. We hope that will address some of your concerns. Once that project is done, God willing, in the next 3 months, that should be done.
Now, there's a big issue when you talk about farm and farming with one of the big farms that's in Murang'a County that also crosses over into Kiambu a little bit, and this is Del Monte. And even from the previous administration, there was a push for when the time comes for renewal of the lease for the Del Monte land, that Del Monte ought to cede some land. 1,200 or is it 1,400 acres that Del Monte has now, sort of like left to the county governments. Just the other day, there were demonstrations from some of your constituents, and they are saying that they want access to this land because it belongs to them. And you went and told them, no, hold on, there's a plans that the county government has. What plans does the Murang'a county government have on this particular piece of land that's formerly being utilized by Del Monte, but now has been reverted to the community?
Yes, we appreciate and respect the freedom of expression. We respect any robust conversation regarding any subject. We do not assume we have the monopoly of knowledge on how to best utilize that land. But you are right, 1,400 acres was ceded back to the county by Del Monte, not during our tenure, during the former government tenure. Our plans for us was simple. The initial plans, of course you need a master plan for the entire land, but our initial plans were, there's a hospital called Kenneth Matiba based in Keno Town, where the county pays 1.4 million per month.
To do it?
To rent a building for that hospital. It is in a private building.
I see.
So that's quite a strain on the county resources. 1.4 million shillings per month is not little money. That money that can be used to buy medicine and do other things. So our vision was to relocate that hospital to that land. That land is quite strategic. It will serve so many people. Not only people from Murang'a, we strongly believe it will even serve people from other regions, because that land adjoins a major highway. We even have a tender, and we have identified a contractor who is ready to move in. But now, after that agitation arose, we thought we tried to negotiate with those people raising agitation to see a peaceful site takeover by the contractor.
You see, Governor, you've been an MP and Senator. Through these conversations, you're not new to the conversation. The agitation by the people of Murang'a to get part of their land back from Del Monte has been there for many years. The agitation was picked up by political leaders, yourself included. You are in the National Assembly, you are in the Senate. You obviously knew what was happening. Was there a plan? Has there been any plan at leadership level on what to do with 1,400 acres? Besides saying, let's put a hospital here because we're paying rent, what's a bigger plan?
There are several possible uses. Definitely a hospital is one of them. That industrial park is also slated to be built there to create employment. And also the housing program by the national government. However, all those plans need to be captured in a grand master plan that has been approved by various stakeholders. That process is still ongoing. It has not crystallized or been finalized.
Is there any structured manner in which this process is ongoing? What I'm asking is, Governor, has there been a conversation at county level, at county assembly level, that says we have a possibility of establishing a new city on 1,400 acres of land near Keno? So let's start master planning and designing what we're going to do with this piece of land. Is there anything of that sort? Do we have planners involved in this?
Yes, there is a draft plan, but it needs to be tabled in the assembly. It is yet to be tabled. And I remember even the processing of the title has just been, is something that is still being done now, right?
Yeah.
So all those plans are yet to crystallize into something that is strong and firm in law and policy. So probably we give ourselves a little bit of time.
How much time?
Allow me not to break the 8th commandment.
I'm
the
going
Bible,
into this because, Governor, you understand
giving
very well.
force.
A certain issue, it's an emotive issue. On the one hand, it's land, all right? And residents of these areas have been agitating, we want our land back. It's emotive. Second, there's a risk. It's like you've said, it's lucrative piece of land. It's adjacent to a thicker superhighway. It's right there adjacent to this multi-billion shilling land farm. It's adjacent to thicker town. It's adjacent to Kano. It's huge. The risk here is if there is no concrete legal plan, this entire 1,400 acres, or at least a huge portion of it, is going to get grabbed.
Yes.
What's the leadership of Murang'a doing about that to safeguard this for not just the current but future generations as well?
Yes, we have prepared a master plan, which we need to take it through several steps. We took it through what we call public participation. There was a meeting at ACK Kariguini in Keno, and members of public gave their representation, and then we improved on it. Currently, it is about to be relayed to the Assembly for Assembly discussion. Once Assembly gets the document, then they will also do another public participation, and then from there, a policy will be passed, and then it will give us a guidance on the best land use of that land.
So in the meantime, the people who were around Mackenzie demonstrating, what do you tell them?
We are listening to them. In fact, there is an ongoing mediation, by the national government to see whether we can enter into a settlement with them. And we shall listen to everyone because we are an open and democratic government. Maybe the only issue which we are noticing currently, the groups agitating, they are not now one. They have become quite a number of them.
Yeah.
There is one led by Mr. X, another one led by Mr. Y, another one led by politician A, another one led by politician B. But we listen. I think we have that moral duty to listen to each and every person. Thank you.
Murang'a is one of the largest suppliers of water for Nairobi. Nairobi is growing, Murang'a is growing, the entire Nairobi metropolitan is really growing. One of the other big issues that has been there is that the people of Murang'a feel that their water is just captured, whether from the current dams or from the newly finished collector tunnel, and their water is just brought to Nairobi and they're left with no water. Have you picked that up?
Yes, but not through the angle of activism and agitation, but we are looking at it through engagement and through a legal process. Probably we consider doing an act through our local assembly to see what value we can extract out of that resource. And soon we shall be tabling something that will enable us get a legal basis for us to engage Nairobi and the stakeholders. From where I see it, I think it is to the interest of Nairobians for that resource to be guarded well.
Mm-hmm.
Because...
And but what does guarding well mean?
It means they consider giving us a little bit of value, to plant more trees in the Kaine region. If Murang'a people decide on their own motion to cut down trees, that dam might dry. So you need to incentivize Murang'a people to plant more trees in that area. You need to ensure Murang'a people don't do siltation. All those measures cost money. So from where I see it, I don't want to approach it through activism, no, or complaining, no. I think the best way would be to look for possibility of passing a legislation in our assembly. We see whether we can levy like an abstraction fee, which then can be recouped to fight climate change in Murang'a County.
The CS for Water, Alice Ohome, is your constituent, right? And she recently was actually even telling members of parliament the same thing, saying maybe the consideration would be how the users of the water that has come from Nairobi can pay some amount of money for bulk, accessing the water in bulk. But it appears that the conversation is still not crystallizing. What I'm basically asking for is, has there been a conversation like this? The CS for Water is accessible to you. You are governor. You too understand the law. You have been lawmakers. You are both lawyers.
Yes, watch this space. We will definitely put in a legislation in the Murang'a County Assembly for that. Yeah, that one I promise. As to when, hold a little bit, we do more consultations. But I think it is fair. It is good for Nairobians. It is good for the people of Murang'a. It's a win-win situation.
Do the people of Murang'a have access to potable water at their home level?
We are at about 65%. So there is a whole 35% that do not have access to tapped water. And that explains why we want to inject money into water service providers, the water companies in Murang'a. But we couldn't do so because of some legal impediments. Those companies were still under an old legal regime. Yeah, they were still owned mainly by the national government through a very complex ownership regime. That was not, it was reluctance to transit into the new legal regime as set out by the Water Act of 2016. Yeah, there was delay. Let me say a delay.
Whose reluctance? I mean, we had water reforms. There's a Water Act, like you said, of 2016. It's clear we went into devolution, and services that were devolved were clear. How would a water service provider in Murang'a County still be under national government?
Allow me not to apportion blame. Allow me, with all due respect.
Unnamed persons.
No,
what's the process
not,
that was skipped? What happened?
I really don't want to apportion any blame, but it is what it is. Yeah, there was no transition to the correct legal regime. And the correct legal regime is, as envisaged by Section 77 of the Water Act, that those companies should be owned fully by the county government. Anyway, don't worry.
So
we are regularizing
now?
that. We are regularizing that, so it's neither here or there. I'm happy to report that all of them have now agreed in principle to transfer to the county government. Gatanga was the first one. Murang'a Water was the second one. Today I had engagement with the remaining three. So I think all factors remaining constant, ceteris paribus, it might appear it is now water under the bridge. Yes.
All pun intended. I see what you're doing there, Governor.
Yeah.
So now that you have sort of more direct say on the operations of the water companies, what are you telling the 35% population that does not have tap water at their homes?
Two things. Number one, under community projects, we set out some funds to sink boreholes, and we have sunk several in places where piped water may not be feasible currently, so we decided to sink boreholes. We will then, of course, pipe it to the various surrounding households. Yesterday, I was in a place called Gatanga constituency, Kakuzi ward, at a village called Nanga. We sank a borehole. Also, I went to a place called Motivi, Makuyu ward in Maragua constituency, again to launch another borehole. The other day I was in Kandara at Irung'u ward, again to unveil another borehole. Tomorrow I'm going to Maragua again at a place called Kimorori Wempa with the area member of the county assembly to unveil another borehole. So therefore we are drilling boreholes. Now that these companies have come into place, we will give them money. Yeah, because now we have the legal mandate to do so. Once we give them money, we'll now tell them do piping. You pipe where you haven't reached people, you reach them. Where you want to do distribution network for these boreholes, you do so. So God willing, we want to push that last mile connectivity to almost about 1890 in the next 2-3 years. That's our master plan. Yes.
I want to conclude the conversation back on the money issue. You just had your budget approved. It's about what? 10.3 billion shillings?
Yes.
For the next financial year?
Yes.
Murang'a is known to be a rich county on many fronts. First of all, highly productive agricultural. It's close to the city. When people talk about billionaires who helped Nairobi become what Nairobi is, they say, there are many of them who have come from Murang'a. So we expect that Murang'a would be raising a lot of money as own source revenue as well, How much are you targeting to raise in own source revenue for the next financial year?
We found Murang'a County last financial year, before we came into power, it had collected 520 million Kenya shillings.
Say that again?
520 million Kenya shillings. That's what had been collected in the financial year 2021-2022, before we came into office. This financial year, which has just ended on 30th of June 2023, we added an extra 130 million. We closed at about 650. Yeah? Basically through automation. We have about 31 revenue streams. All of them are now currently automated. People are paying using phone. Single business permit, market fees, hospital fees. Today we were launching automation of hospital services in Murang'a Level 5 Hospital. When you go to Murang'a today, from yesterday, you don't need to carry any physical card. You just produce your ID. You'll be treated, your records will be electronic from point A to point Z. Even after you are gone at home, you can access your medical records using your phone. That way, we envisage our revenue will double. Indeed, it has doubled. We are now correcting 400,000 in Murang'a Hospital on any day. Before we came into power, they were collecting 80,000. We automated
80,000 to 400,000.
It started 80,000. Then we automated using our own system. We put it to 200,000. We have now gone to full automation this Sunday, where all processes are now automated. All of them now into one package is now 400,000. Yeah.
What sounds like, what you're saying is there's been a lot of revenue leakage in Murang'a County. This is basically it. A county such as Murang'a collecting only 400 million shillings, less, at best, 500 million shillings in a financial year in own source revenue. It's a big problem.
Yes, it is. It is. I agree with you. I think we need to push that amount upwards, and we will definitely do so. We are doing our best to ensure we reach our target.
What's your potential according to the Commission on Revenue Allocation?
Definitely we can have 1.2 billion per annum. Yeah, we can double that amount per annum.
1.2?
Yeah, 1.2.
This is CRA's mathematics and projections?
Yeah, even us, when we do our own analysis, it is possible. But there are other ways that we are looking at it. There are several reasons why people don't pay. One, of course, there's that leakage, but also failure by the people to see the rationale of paying. And for us, when you look at the kind of programs we are doing, We have decided also to target urban dwellers, because you see, let's say like minimum guaranteed return, that's rural, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you look at Kanata Care, yes, it is in urban areas, but the rural people are benefiting more, because it is 36 households per polling centers, and rural places have more polling centers. So we thought urbanites are giving us parking, they are giving us land rates, all those. So we have come up with a package of development that is targeting urban areas only. That is Smart City Program, which is tarmacking a road is very expensive. It costs about 40 million per kilometer to tarmac in road. So therefore, a county may not really be able to tarmac many roads. However, if you tarmac urban areas, you will impact more and you will incentivize urban people to pay county revenue. So we picked 8 major urban centers in Murang'a County where there's a huge population and decided to tarmac those areas. One in Gatanga, Gatora, in Kandara, a place called Kafati, in Kigumo, a place called Kangari, in Maragua, in Murang'a, Kiharu, Murang'a Town, Kahuro, a place called Kahatia, Kangima, Gakira Market, and Kireini in Madhioya. And that program is almost ending. That way, urbanites will see, oh, okay, the county, there's value, and they'll give us more resources. And our own source revenue will go up. God willing, that program will still go on in this second financial year, where we'll target again other major markets and urban areas in Murang'a County, and that way we get value. Of course, all those programs are targeted to lift people out of poverty, but others also manifest the humanistic values of the county government, the current regime. Like there is one called maternal support, where we want to incentivize our mothers to attend our antenatal clinics and also to deliver in public hospitals. Out of 10 mothers, according to the data that was given to us by an NGO called Nutritional International, which is Canadian government-based, 3 were not coming to our public hospitals to deliver there. So we decided to incentivize them. We give them fair reimbursement. So if you come for antenatal clinic at your 7th month of pregnancy, we give you 1,000. When you deliver in a public hospital, we give you 2,000. And we believe that way we will decrease the rate of maternal mortality rate. Yes.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Governor.
Thank you.
And for telling us what you've been doing and what you plan to do with your term in office as the Governor of Murang'a County. We'll keep inviting you to basically take stock of what you're doing. It's important for accountability purposes.
Yes, thank you so much. And Eric, we say thank you for affording us this opportunity.
Asante.
Thank you.
Dr. Irung'u Kangata is the Governor of Murang'a County. He's been our guest this evening on Newsline. Thank you very much for watching. Time for us to say goodbye. My name is Eric Latif. Goodbye.